Morning comes heavy and gray. The storm has passed, but the ranch feels colder than before. The sky hangs low over Heartland, and the air carries a silence that feels almost accusing. Inside the barn, Amy sits on a stool beside Spartan's stall. He's awake now, weak, but trying to stand. When he lifts his head toward her, she smiles faintly, tears glistening in her eyes. "You're a fighter," she whispers, brushing his nose gently. But peace doesn't last long at Heartland. Tim storms in with his usual restless energy, his boots thudding hard on the wooden floor. "We need to talk," he says sharply. Amy looks up, startled. Jack follows behind him, calm but tense. Word spreading, Tim adds. "The neighbors heard Spartan's been poisoned." Amy frowns. "So what? It's none of their business." "It is when people start asking who did it," Tim replies. "Someone's saying it could have been negligence, bad feed, poor handling, something careless." His voice softens slightly. "They're pointing fingers, Amy. At you." The words hit like a slap. Amy stands, anger flashing in her eyes. "They think I would hurt Spartan." Her voice cracks. "He's family." As Jack steps between them. "Enough," he says firmly. "Nobody here believes that, but gossip moves fast. You know that." Amy's jaw tightens. "Then we stop it. I'll find proof. I'll show them it wasn't me, and it wasn't an accident." But even as she says it, she can feel doubt creeping in. The ranch hands whisper when they think she's not listening. Katie avoids her eyes at breakfast, and everywhere she goes, she feels Gracie's gaze following her calm. It's patient, haunting. Later that day, Amy takes Gracie out for a ride, trying to clear her head. The wind is sharp, cutting through her jacket. Gracie moves smoothly, her muscles rippling under the saddle, strong, confident. Too confident. Amy studies her movements, looking for something, a hint, a sign of guilt. If such a thing even exists in a horse. When they reach the ridge overlooking the valley, Amy stops. The world below looks peaceful, the fields glistening with dew, the fences stretching endlessly. But inside her, everything feels like it's falling apart. She talks to Gracie in a low, trembling voice. "If you did this, why? Spartan never hurt anyone." The mare flicks her ears, turning slightly to meet Amy's eyes. For a brief moment, it feels like an answer passes between them, but it's not one Amy can understand. That night, dinner is quiet. Jack eats slowly, deep in thought. Tim stares out the window. Amy barely touches her food. Then Lisa breaks the silence. "The vet called," she says gently. "He's narrowing down the toxin. It's something synthetic, something that doesn't just appear on a ranch." Amy's fork clatters to her plate. "Synthetic?" Lisa nods. "Like a chemical. Someone had to bring it here." The table goes silent. Every eye turns toward Amy. Not an accusation, but an unease. And in that stillness, something fragile breaks inside her. The camera pulls back as she leaves the table, walking toward the barn in the dark. Her shadow stretches long behind her. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying the faint sound of a horse's whinny soft, echoing, uncertain. At the barn door, she stops and looks inside. Spartan sleeps. Gracie watches, and Amy, standing between them, realizes she's no longer sure who to trust. Not even herself. Night falls over Heartland, but the ranch refuses to rest. The lamps outside the barn glow softly against the fog, their light stretching across the empty yard like thin fingers of gold. Inside, Amy stands by Spartan's stall, her hand resting gently on his mane. His breathing has steadied, his eyes a little brighter, but the question that's been eating at her won't let go. The toxin wasn't natural. Someone brought it here. Someone close. As the clock ticks past midnight, Amy pulls out her phone and scrolls through old adoption records. Gracie was brought in only a few weeks ago, a rescue from a private farm. The owner's name flashes on the screen, Marlene Cross. Amy frowns. The name feels familiar. She searches through her messages, her emails, anything that might link Marlene to Heartland. Then she finds it. A message from months ago, before Gracie arrived. It's short.
Oh.
Almost hidden among the usual fan letters and training requests. You took everything from me, Amy Fleming. Maybe it's time you felt the same pain. Amy's fingers freeze over the screen. The sender's name, Marlene. See, her heart drops. Suddenly, the past begins to twist in her mind, old competitions. Jealous rivals, the people she's helped, and those she couldn't. Marlene Cross had once been a client years ago. Amy remembers the horse, a troubled stallion, dangerous and unpredictable. Amy tried to help, but the horse was beyond saving. Marlene never forgave her. Now the truth stings like a cut reopened. Gracie wasn't just another rescue. She was sent here. Amy stumbles back, the phone trembling in her hand. The pieces start to align. Gracie's tension around Spartan, the powder in the feed, the broken fence. None of it was random. It was all placed, planned, executed with quiet cruelty. Footsteps echo outside, slow, deliberate. Amy quickly turns off the light and peers through the small barn window. A shadow moves near the paddock. For a second, she thinks it's Jack, but the figure's too slender, too careful. Whoever it is, they're checking the fence line. Stopping where Amy found the blood smear, she grabs a flashlight and steps out into the night. Who's there? She calls, her voice steady but cold. The figure freezes, then bolts toward the trees. Amy runs after them, the beam of light shaking wildly as she pushes through the rain-damp grass. She catches a glimpse of a dark jacket, long hair, and then nothing. The night swallows them whole. Breathing hard, she stops by the broken fence again. Something glints in the mud, a silver chain with a small charm attached. She picks it up and turns it over in her palm. The engraving reads, MC, Titans. It's proof, but it's also a warning. Whoever did this isn't done yet. Back in the barn, Amy clutches the chain tightly as she kneels beside Spartan. We'll get through this, she whispers. I promise. The lamp flickers softly above her, casting long shadows that dance across the walls, shadows that seem to move like secrets, like whispers of the past refusing to stay buried. For the first time, Amy isn't just fighting to save Spartan's life. She's fighting to protect Heartland itself from the ghosts that have found their way back home. The morning breaks cold and pale, kind of light that makes everything look too real. Amy hasn't slept. The silver chain lies on the table beside her coffee, small charm catching every glint of dawn. MC, the initials, stare back like a confession. Carved in metal, Jack steps into the kitchen, hat in hand. You found that last night? He asks, his voice low, careful. Amy nods, eyes hollow from exhaustion. Marlene Cross, she says. Gracie's old owner. She was here. Jack's brow furrows. That woman blamed you for losing her horse years ago. She didn't lose him, Jack, Amy says, her voice cracking. He was dangerous. I tried everything. She thought I gave up too soon. Amy clenches her jaw, and now she's come back through Gracie. The camera lingers on Jack's face, torn between disbelief and concern. You think she poisoned Spartan? I don't think, Amy says quietly. I know. A truck pulls up outside. The sound of tires on gravel slices through the silence. Amy looks out the window and freezes. Marlene Cross steps out, her coat long, her face pale and unreadable. She looks older, harder, but her eyes burn with the same fire Amy remembers. Amy doesn't wait. She walks out onto the porch, wind catching her hair. Why are you here, Marlene? Marlene smiles faintly, almost mockingly. I heard about Spartan, she says. Thought I'd come to offer sympathy. Amy's fists tighten. You came to finish what you started, Marlene tilts her head, pretending innocence. You always think the worst, Amy. Maybe you should look closer at your own ranch. Maybe your horses aren't the only ones poisoned. Jack steps forward, his tone sharp. You should leave, Marlene. Now. But Amy won't let her go. Why, Gracie? She demands. Why bring her here? Marlene's smile fades. Because she was all I had left, she whispers. You took my horse, my reputation, my life. I wanted you to know what loss feels like. Her voice breaks for a moment, then hardens again. It's not the poison that hurts, Amy. It's watching something you love fade away and being powerless to stop it. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The world around them seems to hold its breath. Then Amy steps closer, her voice trembling with anger and pain. You didn't hurt me, Marlene. You hurt him? She gestures toward the barn. Spartan didn't deserve this. None of them did. Marlene looks away, her eyes shining, whether from guilt or pride, it's impossible to tell. You think you can fix everything, Amy Fleming? But sometimes, even the light can't reach the places we bury our anger. Without another word, she turns and walks back to her truck, the silver chain missing from her neck. Amy watches her drive off, dust rising in her wake like smoke after a fire. Back inside, Amy kneels beside Spartan again, resting her forehead against his. It's over, she whispers. But even as she says it, she knows it isn't. Gracie watches quietly from her stall, her eyes soft and knowing, as if she's been carrying the truth all along. Outside, the wind stirs the fields, whispering through the fences and trees. Heartland feels different now, bruised, quieter, but still standing. In the silence, Amy realizes that healing doesn't always come with answers. Sometimes it begins with forgiveness, even when no one says sorry. Spartan is down. Amy rushes to the barn, calling his name, but the horse doesn't respond. His breathing is shallow, his eyes dull. The camera cuts to a shot of Gracie, standing silently in the corner, her eyes fixed on Spartan. The air feels heavy, tense. Could it be that the newest horse at Heartland has done something terrible? In episode 5, everything changes. Friendships are tested, loyalties shaken. And one question haunts every fan. Did Gracie poison Spartan? The episode opens on a quiet morning at Heartland. The sunlight spills over the ranch, painting the fields gold. Everything looks peaceful, but that calm doesn't last long. Amy walks toward the stables, her boots crunching softly on the dirt path. She's smiling at first, humming to herself the way she often does when she's around her horses. But the smile fades the moment she steps inside. Spartan doesn't greet her. Normally, he would nick her softly the second she enters. But this time, he's lying down, his head resting against the hay. Amy's eyes widen. "Hey, boy," she whispers, kneeling beside him. There's something wrong. Spartan's breathing is slow and uneven, and his skin twitches slightly as if he's in pain. The camera lingers on Amy's face. Fear, confusion, disbelief. She checks his water bucket, then the feed. Everything looks normal, but when she touches Spartan's muzzle, she notices a strange scent. Faint, metallic, unnatural. That's when her heart starts racing. Outside the barn, Jack is feeding the chickens. He notices Amy rushing out, her hands trembling. "Jack, something's wrong with Spartan." She cries. Within moments, everyone at the ranch is moving. Jack, Tim, and even Katie come running. The mood shifts instantly from peaceful to panic. Jack kneels beside Spartan, his old eyes soft but worried. "He's tough, Amy," he says, trying to stay calm. But even he can tell this isn't just fatigue or old age. The bond between Amy and Spartan is one of the strongest threads in Heartland's story. It's fine. And seeing him like this feels like watching part of Amy's soul break as the vet's truck pulls up. Amy stands back, arms wrapped around herself, barely holding it together. The vet examines Spartan carefully, takes samples, and asks questions. Has he eaten something different? Any new horses around? Amy glances toward the far stall, and there she is, Gracie. The new mare, graceful and calm, munching on hay as if nothing is wrong. The vet's words hang in the air. It could be something in his feed, or something toxic. Amy's mind starts to race. She remembers the moment she introduced Gracie to Spartan a few days ago. How Spartan seemed uneasy. How Gracie had pinned her ears back. Horses sense things we don't. Could that tension have meant something more? As the vet leaves with a promise to call once the tests are done, Amy leans against Spartan's stall door, whispering softly, "Hang in there, boy." The camera pans to Gracie again, her eyes glinting under the soft light. It's not clear whether she's innocent or hiding something, The calm morning at Heartland has turned into a storm of questions. And for the first time, Amy isn't sure if she can trust what her heart tells her. The sun has barely risen when Amy finds herself pacing outside the barn, her hands shaking from sleeplessness. The night was long, filled with worry and quiet tears. Spartan is still weak, barely lifting his head when she whispers his name. Every sound feels louder, every creak of wood, every rustle of hay, as if the whole ranch is holding its breath. Jack walks in, his hat pulled low, eyes tired. "Vet called yet?" he asks, though he already knows the answer. Amy shakes her head, her voice quiet. "Nothing. He's not getting better, Jack. I can feel it." The silence stretches between them, heavy and uncertain. Then her gaze shifts toward the corner stall. Gracie stands there, beautiful and composed, her coat gleaming in the morning light. To anyone else, she's just another horse. But Amy can't shake the strange feeling in her gut. The memory flashes back. Gracie's ears pinned flat, that sharp glare toward Spartan, the restless pawing at the dirt. It wasn't just nerves that day, it felt like warning later that morning. When Amy leads Gracie out to the paddock, the other horses move away from her. Even the usually calm Phoenix lets out a nervous snort. Amy frowns. Horses don't lie. They sense danger. They feel energy we can't. But could a horse actually want to harm another? It's a question that makes Amy's stomach twist. Tim shows up at the gate, holding a coffee cup. "You've been up all night again," he says, his tone half concerned, half annoyed. "You need rest, Amy. Spartan's tough. He'll pull through." Amy doesn't respond. She's staring at Gracie, watching her graze. Calm, silent, almost to calm. "She's different," Amy says softly. "Something's off about her." Tim sighs. "Amy, don't start blaming a horse. It's probably just bad feed, or a plant he ate." But Amy shakes her head. "No, I checked everything, twice." Her eyes glimmer with a mix of fear and conviction. What if it wasn't an accident? The moment lingers. The wind picks up, carrying a soft whinny from Spartan's stall. Weak, but enough to make Amy's heart drop. She runs inside, only to find him trembling, sweat darkening his coat. Jack rushes in behind her, calling the vet again. The tension breaks into panic once more, as they wait for help. Amy notices something strange near Spartan's water bucket. A few strands of Gracie's mane tangled at the edge, caught in the wood. It could be nothing, but in her exhausted mind it feels like a clue. She kneels down, touching the strands gently, her expression torn between reason and instinct. When the vet finally calls, the words are worse than she imagined. "It's poisoning," he says. "A toxin, likely ingested in the last 24 hours. Amy's heart stops. The world goes quiet except for the faint sound of Spartan's breathing. Poison. The word echoes like thunder in her mind. She turns slowly toward Gracie's stall, where the mare lifts her head, calm and watchful. Their eyes meet for a moment that feels endless. Amy whispers under her breath, "What did you do?" The screen fades to black. The music swells, low, tense, uncertain. In that moment, one thing becomes clear. The peace at Heartland is gone. And Amy's fight for the truth has just begun. The rain starts that evening, soft at first, then steady. The kind of rain that makes the ranch smell like wet earth and memories. Amy stands alone in the barn, arms crossed, watching the drops slide down the window. Every creak, every sound feels alive. Spartan lies in his stall, wrapped in blankets, his breathing shallow but steady. The vet said the toxins were working through his system, but where they came from, no one knows. Not yet. Amy's thoughts keep circling back to the same place, the feed room. That's where everything begins and ends for the horses. She grabs a flashlight and pushes the door open, the beam cutting through the dim light. The shelves are lined with grain bags, oats, supplements. Everything looks normal. But then she notices something strange. One of the bags is open. Its top folded unevenly, and the feed inside smells slightly off. Not rotten, just different. She reaches in, letting the grains slip through her fingers. Then, near the bottom, she finds something small, a bit of dark powder clinging to the oats. It looks almost like ash. Amy frowns, her heart starting to race. "That's not supposed to be here," she whispers. Just then, Jack's voice calls out behind her. "Amy, what are you doing?" She turns, startled, dropping the flashlight. "Just checking the feed," she says quickly, trying to sound calm. Jack studies her for a moment, his eyes narrowing. "You think someone did this on purpose?" he asks softly. Amy doesn't answer. She just looks at the open bag again, the powder dark against the pale grain. "I don't know," she murmurs, "but I have to find out." Later, while everyone else is asleep, Amy walks to the paddock. The rain has turned the ground to mud, and her boots sink with every step. She shines her flashlight along the fence, and then she sees it. One of the lower boards is broken clean through, splintered wood jutting out. The edges are rough, but near the break, there's a smear of something faint, reddish, like rust or old blood. She kneels, tracing it with her fingertips. The mud around the fence shows hoofprints, Spartans and another set, larger, deeper. Gracie's. The prints overlap, tangled, like there was a struggle. Amy's breath catches. "You were here?" she whispers to the darkness. "But why?" She looks up toward the pasture where Gracie stands under the rain, motionless, her mane plastered against her neck. The mare stares back, her expression unreadable. For a heartbeat, feels like they understand each other, two creatures connected by fear and instinct. Back in the barn, Amy sits beside Spartan, brushing his mane gently. She's exhausted, but her mind won't rest. The powder, the broken fence, the tracks, it's too much to ignore. Maybe Gracie isn't just another horse. Maybe someone wanted Amy to think she was. The camera lingers on Amy's face, half in shadow, half in light. Her eyes burn with quiet determination. "I'll find out the truth," she whispers to Spartan. "No matter what it takes." Outside, thunder rolls across the valley. The rain washes the footprints away, erasing the evidence, but not the questions. And in the fading light, a single eerie truth begins to form in Amy's heart. Something or someone wanted Spartan gone. Days pass, the sky's clear, and the first warmth of spring starts to melt the frost that had clung to Heartland for weeks. The ranch feels quieter, gentler, as if the land itself is exhaling after holding its breath for too long. Inside the barn, sunlight spills through the windows, landing on Spartan's stall. He's standing again, his eyes bright, strength returning one breath at a time. Amy brushes his coat slowly, her hands steady now. The fear that once lived inside her chest has softened into something else. Relief, gratitude, maybe even peace. Spartan turns his head slightly, nudging her shoulder the way he used to. That small gesture says everything words can't. Jack walks in, leaning against the stall door. "Looks like your boy's coming back," he says with a quiet smile. Amy nods. "He never gave up," she replies softly. "Even when I almost did." For the first time in what feels like forever, she allows herself to breathe. The poison is gone from Spartan's system, the vet's tests are clean, and the ranch is finally calm. But the scars, physical and emotional, will take longer to fade. Amy knows that. Heartland has always been a place of second chances. But even second chances come with lessons. Outside, Gracie grazes under the open sky. Her coat shines golden in the afternoon light. Amy watches her for a moment, the anger that once burned inside her, now replaced with quiet understanding. The mare wasn't to blame. She was just caught in someone else's pain. A living reminder of how easily hurt can be passed from one soul to another. Amy walks toward her, careful, calm. Gracie lifts her head, ears flicking forward. For a heartbeat, they just look at each other. No fear, no mistrust, just connection. Amy reaches out a hand, and this time, Gracie steps closer. The moment feels fragile, sacred. Forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but it begins something new. That evening, the family gathers on the porch. The sun sinks low, painting the sky in streaks of gold and violet. Tim cracks a small joke that actually makes Amy really laugh for the first time in days. Jack raises his coffee mug. "To Spartan," he says, his voice rough but warm. "And to all of us who keep getting back up," Amy smiles, her eyes glistening. to Heartland," she whispers. The camera pans out slowly, the ranch bathed in fading light, the horses grazing peacefully, the sounds of life and love returning to the land. A soft piano note plays as Spartan lifts his head high. Strong again, framed against the sunset, in her voiceover. Amy's words carry the closing message. Sometimes, healing isn't about forgetting what broke us. It's about finding the courage to love again, even when we're afraid it might hurt. Heartland has taught me that every wound carries a lesson, and every ending is just another beginning. The screen fades to black. The faint sound of horses whinnying echoes softly. Then, in white letters across the screen, did Gracie really poison Spartan? Or did fate just remind Heartland what it means to endure? The final beat lingers, quiet, hopeful, unforgettable. End title card. Heartland Season 19, Episode 5 recap. Subscribe for next week's breakdown.